Opinionated Idiot.
Good afternoon. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, double dip Tuesday. We're going to do a two for one combo meal deal today. We're going to do a little bit of afternoon streaming, and then we'll be back this evening for the super stream, the 5K celebration stream. And I got a bunch of prizes that I'm going to be giving away this evening. You're not going to want to miss that. And I have one extremely large prize that everybody's going to want to get in on this evening. But I want to welcome you back to another live edition of the Opinionated Idiot YouTube live show. We're here. It is May 23rd, 2023. We're getting a couple of days here in the States, close to kind of our summer kickoff holiday called Memorial Day weekend. Lots of people will be out and about celebrating Memorial Day. I don't know. It's just another day to me. It's just another holiday. I don't know why people get all crazy about it. I guess it's time to, when everybody opens up their pools, everybody starts swimming. It's just so close to summer. But want to welcome everybody in, hopefully on this lunch break this afternoon. The chat will fill in as we go. And welcome. So wanted to get into a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the main stream, the main part of the afternoon here. Programming note, want to let everybody know, and I've been doing this lately, is one, my life is going to get pretty crazy in the next couple of weeks. So after Memorial Day, my work life, my career is going to get a little crazy for a while. We're shorthanded, and I'm going to have to pick up some of the extra slack for a while. So I'm going to try to stream as much as I can. I won't be on my regular schedule of Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're just going to have to try to look and see where I'm piecing things together. And then when life starts to normalize, we get some people hired, my schedule will go back as normal as the schedule I've been carrying. That's why I've been doing a lot of these daytime streams so I can get content up on the channel and kind of backlogged, because if I have a big hiring event at my work and we hire in some people, my schedule is going to normalize. But until then, it is what it is. It's my career. I've dealt with this stuff in the past, and I just wanted to let you all know that. But I do want to let you know this. On the off days that I don't stream, I'm going to be doing a segment called Lunchtime Rewind. And what I'm basically doing is downloading these episodes, if you haven't seen them, and re-uploading them at 12 noon every day. And I'm going to be doing those as premieres. So it will seem like I'm live, but I'm actually not live. It's just premiere. And you'll see it when you click into the video. It will say this video is premiering. It'll probably say it somewhere up in the chat. So I'm not live, but you can chat. You can chat. You can join as a member. You can send super chats, all that stuff. But it's just kind of like for the replay crew. So we're going to call that those segments Lunchtime Rewind. You can come in at 12 noon on my off days and catch one of those. I would love for you all to come in and take your your lunch break, spend a little bit of time, interact on the videos so we can get that activity going, keep things rolling here on the channel. I don't want to let anybody down. I want to keep this channel going and growing. So we got that out of the way. Oh, I'm looking for postcards. I would love for everybody to send postcards. And what I did up above, if you look, I've put my P.O. box address up there. I would love to start receiving some postcards, because my dream is once I get this out of my bedroom, because I'm literally in my bedroom, and into an actual working studio, I'd love to take those postcards and make maybe a collage on a wall or behind me as a backdrop or something. I think that would be super cool. So send me a postcard. Let me know where you're from. send a message, blah, 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 whatever. We'll hang on to those. And once we get a studio, an actual working studio, and get this out of the bedroom, we'll do something with those. I think it's really special. But the postcard address is up there above. I'll let everybody know you can send your postcards to the Opinionated Idiot at 11 Robert Toner Boulevard. That's Suite 5, number 377 in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, 02760. I would love to hear from all of you and start receiving some postcards. All right. Before we get into Peter Tragos' segments, little quick thing, food for thought. And this is kind of interesting. Laura and I were talking just before we got I went live today, and she said, hey, I found this tweet. Check this out. And she found this to be very interesting. I'm going to pull the tweet up here. Let me just enlarge the screen so everybody can see it. Okay, so this was tweeted out on May 19th, and it makes a lot of sense. This is going to be kind of a food for thought. So Dateline producer says, we're told that law enforcement agents surveilling Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania almost ran their car into him one night. He was walking by the side of the road wearing gloves, carrying his trash to his neighbor's garbage can. It was 4 a.m. And it's funny, I saw some of the replies. Some guy tweeted, said, why is law enforcement driving around at 4 a.m.? And this simple comeback, which I think is fantastic, it says, it's called surveillance. But the bigger point in all of this is, let's say that this is true. Let's say that this information is true. And I think Laura made a good point on this. Let's say this is true. Why would Bryan Kohberger be so paranoid unless he knew he was a suspect on the list, hence being interviewed by Payne in December before he came back to Pennsylvania? So I want you all to think about that. And I think it's a very interesting, very, very interesting food for thought segment. And I thought that was a good call out by Laura. And let me address, I just want to address something really quick. So let's see. I think Devil Doll said something about JRL. Let's see. I can't pull the thing up here. JRL covered this already. Covered that. Let's see. I can't see it. But she's basically saying that he covered it already. Yeah, listen, I've been very transparent here. I have a very busy life. I work 40 to 60 hours a week. I have a blind mother that I take care of. And then every in between time, I'm just concentrating on streaming here on my channel. So yeah, some other channels might be ahead of the curve. Some may not. I may not be. Maybe I'm ahead on certain things. I don't really watch a lot of other true crime. I've explained that. I've talked about it. I just try to keep my thoughts free and clear as to what I want to keep present on my channel here. So I apologize. This has already been talked about. Maybe I'm behind the curve on that, but thanks for calling that out. But I just wanted to share it here with this audience because maybe they didn't see that content. So anyway, let's move on with the show here. So Peter Tragos came live yesterday, did 2 streams, kind of giving his reaction to the motion hearings and his analysis of what went on yesterday in court. I want to pull those up because I'm telling you, I'm going to keep doing these until Peter comes over and does a segment on my channel. We really enjoy your content. We know that you're a very credible lawyer. You're very, very well liked. I actually tweeted at Peter today and just said, hey, if you ever want to come over and chat on the channel, we do reaction videos to your content. I hope you don't mind. We really enjoy it. But let's pull up his segment there, and we'll play through this and walk through and do some reaction with it. So this one was the earlier stream in the day, and then he did come back later that day and do a later one, I believe, after the court proceedings. So let's play on.
What's up, everybody? It's been quite a day today, but we made it here. Okay. And that's what I'm excited about. We've made it here to talk through this together. I knew all this was happening today, and I knew the schedule that I had packed in this morning was going to make it so difficult to do everything. And I tried to have it set up to go on with JB earlier today. It just didn't work out for a million different reasons that frustrated the crap out of me, all on my end, none on JB's end. So I texted him again and then was able to just get on there now, which is why we pushed the video back, because I wanted to go on there. I told him I would. I felt terrible about missing out on it. So hopefully you guys were able to check that out and watch the streams on WFLA Now. He's great. And so I wanted to, of course, come hang with you guys, dig in, discuss what we saw and what we learned today. So I'll only have time during this video. We're going to watch the arraignment together. We're going to break down everything we saw, everything we hear, and what it means, how the timelines work, answer all your questions as far as it goes to the arraignment. And then tonight, we're going to do a 2 live crew tonight. Okay, 8:45, our old time where, you know, we've hung out and broken down so many trials together, and followed so many trials, daily recaps, whatever it may be. We are going to be breaking it down again tonight at 8:45. We're going to be talking about the motion hearings for the motions to compel, the gag order stuff, because to me, we really learned a lot about the judge, about this case, and about how he views all of that in his comments during those scheduling hearings. So that'll be tonight. But this video, we are going to focus in on the arraignment. And Abby, hey, you know what's great is YouTube leaves it up. And I know it's tough. I hate missing out on anybody that wants to come join in, which is why I'm glad today I'm doing 2. So you and everybody that can hang out with the afternoon crew gets to come hang here for a while. And then if you're available at night, you can come hang back. I don't have the rest of the afternoon, unfortunately, to go through everything, but I'm glad to hang with you now live, Abby, and then on the rewatch crew later. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to queue up the arraignment. I will pause it. Most of you have probably watched it already by now. I will pause it as we go through, as things happen, to explain what's happening, why it's happening, why they would be doing something like this. And make sure you hit that like button as well if you haven't already, and subscribe and hit the reminder bell, because stuff happens, you know, stuff happens and we don't always get live or get on the video exactly when I plan to or exactly when I want to. So let's get to the arraignment here.
If you all didn't miss last night, we did Laura and I came live and did a little, about an hour and a half yesterday, and played through the arraignment, give a little bit of our commentary over it as well too. You know, my thing here is let Peter play out. You know, he's an expert, he's a lawyer. I've always said a million times, when we come live, we're not lawyers, we're not experts. We just give kind of our opinions based on the facts and the evidence in this case. I've expressed that probably about 1 billion times on this channel. I still get comments about like me claiming that I'm a lawyer and an expert. I've never said that. I've never said that. I've been very clear about it. We bring on, we do reactions to streams like this because we respect Peter. He's an actual lawyer, and you know, that's why we do this. And Peter, if you're watching, I hope you don't mind that I keep doing this, because my audience finds this to be very valuable, and I would love to have you over here sometime. So reach out to me. Maybe we can do something, even have you on for 10 or 20 minutes. I know that my crowd would go berserk if you were over here hanging out. So we'll keep playing through this.
All rise. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good morning, everybody.
There are some pauses where things don't happen, so there'll be some dead time, but
Okay, let's
here we go.
get on the record, please. Thank you. Okay, we are now on the record in State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, CR 29222803. Mr. Kohberger is in the courtroom along with his attorney, Ms. Taylor. I believe also part of the team is Jay Ronston and.
Oh, Candy, by the way, I sent chosen and your bracelets out today. So they should be there by like Thursday. Just want to make sure that you knew that I got those out to you. Thank you so much for ordering those. I appreciate it.
Is participating
Thanks for
by
the support.
The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Lake Clark County Prosecutor's Office, or Prosecuting Attorney. Ms. Jennings is of that office too, Lake Clark County Prosecutor's Office. Also, part of that team is Ingrid Beatty and Jeff Nye, both from the Idaho Attorney General's Office. I'm John Judge. If you don't know me, I'm the Lake Clark County District Judge, and I'll be presiding over this case. So, Mr. Kohberger, you've already heard a lot what I'm going to tell you at your initial appearance, but I'll repeat it to you because it's important, and I want to remind you of these issues. So I'll briefly cover your rights, the charges against you, and the maximum penalties if you are found guilty or if you plead guilty. So I'm going to start with the rights. You have a constitutional right to have an attorney represent you throughout these proceedings. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, then one is appointed at public expense. Ms. Taylor and her team have already been appointed, so that's taken care of. You have a right to a speedy and public jury trial where the state would be required to prove every element of each charge.
So King 148 James is asking, do I ever feel weird about exploiting tragedy for clicks? No, not really, because we're reporting here. We give very factual information here. We read through the PCAs and the legal documents, and I don't think it's exploiting anything. It's actually giving and bringing awareness to a lot of conspiracy theories that are put out there on other YouTube channels. See, if you watched our content, the thing that you would understand is that we stick to the facts. And my chat room knows that, and my channel members and my subscribers know that here. So yeah, we've always said that we're not legal experts, but we do a lot of research and we have a lot of passion for what we do here to pay tribute to these victims, to make sure that we find and give valuable information to find the correct people that commit these crimes. So I wouldn't say that I'm exploiting this for clicks and views. We're just bringing awareness to it. And if you actually watched my channel, you would understand that I personally want to grow this channel and become an advocate for people. If you knew my story or knew anything about me, that my friend was murdered in 1994, and that's what drove the passion behind this channel, to get live on air and advocate for people of brutal crimes. My friend had no justice. The two people that were caught walked in his case. One did 8 months and walked, and another one, the prosecution fucked around and they walked. They didn't have their case put together. So if you don't like what we're doing here, you don't have to watch. But my subscribers knows exactly what we do here on this channel. We don't spread conspiracy. I vet everything that we use via news articles, via the legal documents. We try to explain those the best we can, never claim that we're lawyers here. But if I can advocate for someone, for innocent victims, and get their story out there so people can learn across YouTube and the world about these cases and bring attention to them, I'm happy to do that. So thank you for your comment. Thanks for your click and your view today. I appreciate that. All right, let's keep playing through this, guys.
Against you beyond a reasonable doubt. At that trial, you would have the right to cross-examine the witnesses called against you. That means to see, hear, and question them, to call witnesses to testify for you, and if you choose to testify in your own defense. But you're not required to testify because you also have the right of silence. That right is protected under the Idaho and federal constitutions, so you can remain silent throughout these court proceedings, and that can't be held against you.
See, it's okay. It's okay, chat. I knew this was going to happen. Once we get to a certain amount of subscribers, because people are watching now, people are going to come in. Probably people are being sent from other channels. It's completely fine. That's why I have moderators here. Moderators can take care of that. they can ban these people from the channel. So free reign. But I wanted to address that so everybody understands here, maybe some first-time watchers that come to the channel. I want to make sure that we had that clear and concise here, but it's okay. It's going to happen. This is what happens when you start to grow, because people will try to beat you down and people will try to come at you. I'm not going to let it phase me. I have a mission here. I have a mission to grow this community as best as we can and the biggest that we can, and people will come and go. I've always said that. So it's really not a problem.
What you do need to remember, though, is that anything you do say, other than to your lawyers, could be used against you in a later court proceeding.
And all this is really important in the context that everybody knows he decides to stay silent and the judge enters a not guilty plea, right? So all this is important, not supposed to be held against him, his silence, because anything he says and the way that he says it can and will be held against you. Now, he does say some things throughout this, so we'll keep an eye on that, but let's remember that, and we will absolutely talk about standing silent.
This is a really great point that Peter's bringing up in this video about standing silent. I know that's been a huge topic of conversation over the last probably like 24 to 48 hours. We're almost close into 48 hours, but let's see what Peter has to say about this.
Or a mute plea, or different things that you can call it, him not saying anything that is legally a not guilty plea. But I think it's also really important to point out real quick, why does the judge explain to him all of his rights? Okay. And one thing is important, because some of you may think it's a waste of time. Some of you may think I already know this because, you follow this stuff and understand this stuff. But what you also know by following these cases in the media is that there are bad lawyers. There are lawyers that lie to clients. There are lawyers that dupe clients. There are lawyers that don't care about clients and don't talk to their clients and don't explain their rights. So the judge needs to make sure the client understands his rights. And that's why the judge is explaining all of Bryan Kohberger's rights at this point and the rights that will follow him throughout this case. And it's important that he understands them. And he will be able to notice, hopefully, if a lawyer is violating one of those rights or is pushing him to violate one of those rights. And we also don't want there to ever be a situation where he says, nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever told me I had the right to remain silent. Nobody ever told me what the prosecution's burden of proof was. We know Bryan Kohberger has some criminology experience and research, but the point is,
oh, excuse me.
Bryan Kohberger needs to know what his rights are so that the process can move appropriately and
100%.
fairly. And that's why we do this. I just thought that was to shed some light and importance on what's happening here, that we don't just glaze over while he's explaining his rights.
You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Mary says, I'd put the PCA you did under the stream description so newcomers can read it and leave it open to boot trolls like that immediately when just newcomers come to read about it. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, people are going to come and go. They're going to try to beat you down. I mean, listen, do you think that clown hasn't stopped watching? I mean, we got rid of him out of the chat, but that clown's still watching. Of course he is. He, she,
You also have
whoever.
a right to.
And he audibly answers
funny.
that he understands.
It's funny, and I know I'm going to get yelled at. You pause too much and you talk too much over the videos. But that's what we do. It's a live show. But I think it's funny that, once this 5K came around, this is when they all start coming in now, because it's getting to a level, they see it as a level of success. It's fine. We deal with it. We move on. We're not going to let it disrupt the show. We're not going to let it stop. I mean, we're going to continue to do this. So whatever. Exactly. There's trolls everywhere. And the thing is when you're a nice person and a factual person, they hate that because that's what they want to be in their life. And that it's amazing that someone would sit here at 1:30 in the afternoon on a beautiful Tuesday, and have to come in and try to ruin everybody's good time. It's perfectly fine. I want to recognize Christy Lewitsky for their new membership on the channel. I do appreciate that so much. Thanks for your support. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Remember. All right, let's keep playing on here. We've got a long time to go through
that
this.
These are his rights, which I think is important.
to appeal any final decision of the court.
Of course.
In order to exercise that right, you need to
It's
file a
fine.
notice of appeal.
We're okay. We're a
42
community. We can
days
move on through
of
it.
that final decision.
Happens to everybody.
Right
Believe
is
me.
waived. Also, if you are not a United States citizen, any finding of guilt in this state could have adverse consequences to your legal status. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
Any questions about the rights?
No.
All right. So let's go to the indictment. You have a copy of the indictment in front of you?
Yes.
Thank you. And you see in the heading your name there. Is that your correctly spelled complete name?
Yes, it is.
So anybody that followed the Darrell Brooks trial knows what arguments that could make go away, since he's now admitted on the record that that is his correctly spelled and it's his name. The reason they do that is they don't want that to become an issue later. They don't want to have the wrong spelling of somebody else that spells it Kohberger, as I've seen people spell it accidentally. But it's like, you don't want it. You want to make sure there's no typos, nothing that they're going to try to use as a clerical error that ends up turning into a reason for an appeal or to throw out the case once. There's no statute of limitations, but things like that have popped up in the past. So now to make it easier, they ask right up front, do you see anything, any issues with that? Is that your name? Good. Let's move on. So we don't have to talk about that again. So that's one of the reasons why they do that.
Is that the correct birth date underneath your name?
Yes.
Are those the correct last four digits of your social security number?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to read you the charges on the indictment, starting with count 1, burglary. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-1401 and 1403. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder.
So again, I've seen some discussion about what a burglary is, and whether he had to steal something, and obviously not, or whether it was just entering the house unlawfully, and it's not. It's entering the house unlawfully without permission with the intent to commit a felony therein. And we know we're about to hear the 4 felonies that he intended to commit when he entered the house, allegedly, right? But that's the crime of burglary. You enter the dwelling with the intent to commit a felony. And here they're saying he entered their residence with the intent to commit these 4 felonies.
Count 2, murder in the first degree. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with
I want to ride in that vet. I want to ride in that vet. I want to ride in that vet. Thank you.
Kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. Count 3, murder in the first degree, a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kayla Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing Kayla Gonzalez, from which she died. Count 4, murder in the first degree. That's a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Alleging that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Zaina Kernodal. Excuse me. This is hard. I'm sorry. Dana,
So let's take a quick second because I've also heard a lot of talk about this where he stumbles over the name a little bit. Then he said, "This is hard." And I heard a lot of people say, was he saying this is hard because he couldn't read the names because the names were hard? Xana Kernodle, not the easiest name to say. Gonsalves, not the easiest name to say. I messed it up the first time I said it.
I did too.
I mess up stuff all the time and mispronounce stuff all the time. So no, I give the judge all the grace in the world where it comes to pronouncing all these names and reading these documents with all this pressure and public eye and everything like that. But I also heard a lot of people say that he said this is hard because we're talking about 4 young lives that were lost. And I think that's a possibility as well. Just that it's a sad situation. It's a sad set of circumstances, a sad set of facts. And I think that the judge is a human being entitled to his emotions, and that would be okay as well. I also think a judge is very capable of thinking it is a sad factual scenario without believing that the criminal defendant over there is guilty before he has his day in court. So just because the judge is saying this is a sad scenario does not mean he thinks Bryan Kohberger did it. Okay. And
I just want to kind of add here, wouldn't Judge be from in and around that area as well too? Right? I may be wrong on that, but I would think, I mean, this is his community, right? Am I correct on that? This is his community where he lives. So I'm sure this is very affecting on him as well. You know, you got to think about that too. He's lived in and around this area. I mean, I don't know how long he's lived there. Maybe this is somewhere he's lived his whole life. I mean, but this is his community, and that would be very that would affect me too. I mean, hearing about this every day and you know, knowing that you're going to be on this trial, it's very life-changing. I mean, it's crazy. 4 people.
I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I see a bunch of people coming in from Emily D. Baker. Welcome, all the law nerds. Thanks for joining us.
Xana Kernodle, a human being by stabbing Xana Kernodle, from which she died. Count 5, murder in the first degree. This is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died. This is signed on May 16, 2023, by the presiding grand jury. So now I'm going to go to the maximum penalties of each charge.
So those are the charges: burglary and multiple murder charges. Now he's going to go to the maximum penalties. And the reason for this, again, is so Bryan Kohberger can understand this is what he's charged with. This is what he's facing. This is what he's looking at. This is the minimum. This is the maximum. We, in this country, I think this is really good for people to watch. And I'm glad. That's the point about these cases. I don't think we should sensationalize these cases. I don't think we should convict people in the court of public opinion. I don't think we should jump to conclusions. I don't think we should speculate and pull stuff and act like it's fact and like we know this is what happened or that's what happened. But I think it's incredibly important and educational to watch and understand that some criminal defendants are like, I didn't know this happened. I didn't even know what I was charged with. I had no idea I could ever face this much time in prison. That's why we have this. That's why every defendant has a right to this arraignment where the judge, not he can say, oh, my public defender didn't tell me this, or my criminal defense lawyer didn't tell me this, or the state said this, or whatever. A judge explains this stuff to the criminal defendant to make sure they know what it is, because we as a country have decided to do it that way in the legal system. Is it perfect? No, far from it. But when we see a problem, we try in the legal community to fix it and to make sure nobody's getting railroaded or bamboozled, that he understands, at least from this point of view and at this point in time, what he is facing. And that's important.
Starting with count 1, burglary, minimum 1 year, up to 10 years in imprisonment, fine of up to $50,000 or both fine and imprisonment. Restitution for
So he's looking at from 1 to 10 years for the burglary, which is the least severe crime.
For the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime. For counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, murder in the first degree, maximum penalties, life in prison, or the death penalty. Fine of up to $50,000, or a fine and life in prison or the death penalty. Restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime. Also, additional fine up to $5,000 to be paid directly to the victim's victims. If you are found guilty or plead guilty on each charge, and the maximum sentences are imposed consecutively, that means one right after the other, you could be facing 10 years in prison, followed by 4 consecutive life sentences or death penalties, fines of up to $200,000 and $20,000 to be paid directly to the families with any restitution resulting from the crimes.
Important also for the judge to point out, you could be looking at 10 years plus 4 consecutive life sentences. That's the max. Now, we know you only got one life here on earth. So 4 consecutive life sentences, it is what it is. It doesn't actually exist. You can't be in prison for life sentences, but you have to make sure they understand the maximum, that they don't think, well, maybe 10 years means life, or maybe life means to age 75, or maybe if we combine these together, it can only be 10 years. No, none of those questions. 10 years plus 4 life sentences is what you're looking at.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, do you understand the charge in count 1?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 4, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 5, murder in the
Yes.
first degree? Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
All right, so I'm going to back that up because we're going to talk about it. It went through kind of quickly, but I know a lot of people have questions about this. But first, I want to talk about the fact that Bryan Kohberger said, yes, he understands the charges against him and the potential penalties he's looking at. Okay, so that's a really important part. And then I'm going to put this up on the screen. Ann Bothwell, greetings. Can I ask, standing silent, why automatically not guilty? I guess I've watched too many TV trials, but this is news to us. Okay, so with this question in mind, we're going to watch again what happens, how it happens, and then we're going to talk about standing silent.
Plead to these charges. And Ms. Taylor, is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
And because Mr. Kohberger is standing silent, I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on each charge. Counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
All right, so there you had it. This is what most people were talking about today. What does it mean to stand silent? Why stand silent? Why not just plead not guilty? To me, this was an intentional decision by Bryan Kohberger and his counsel. And while it could be a nothing burger, because basically standing silent, legally speaking, is the same thing as a not guilty plea. That's why you saw the judge enter a not guilty plea for all of the counts. And this goes into what we just heard, the judge explaining Bryan Kohberger's rights, including the right to remain silent. That's going to be at this hearing and every other hearing and every other time Bryan Kohberger, anything happens to him in this case. Of course, it sounds like my camera just died again.
Uh-oh.
Really great. Really going to have to figure this out. But when we talk about standing silent, okay, and we talk about why somebody would stand silent. Number one, they do not want anything they say to be held against them. So what that means is, I hear people saying I froze. It was just my camera. Sorry. Eventually, maybe we'll be able to figure out the technical difficulties, but this is exactly what the issue was with JB earlier. It's so miserable. It literally makes steam come out of my ears and my blood boil, but we're going to bypass that for now and say, you heard him say anything can be held against him. So when we talk about,
it's literally one of the worst things when you're a live streamer, like when you're streaming live and your camera goes down. It's so frustrating because you feel like you lose the connection to your audience. I mean, Peter has enough people that they're going to hang around, but like, you know, someone like a smaller channel, if I have a large audience and, you know, a couple hundred people, I know my subscribers, my members would stick around, but maybe those first time people that pop in, they're just like, oh, his camera's down, I'm out of here. So it is very frustrating. It's technical difficulties while streaming sucks.
saying not guilty, pleading not guilty. If he would have said, not guilty, I am not guilty, I did not do this, and pound the table, people would have an opinion about that. Number two, if he would have said not guilty softly or bashfully or nervously, people would say, well, why did he do that? Why was he too nervous? Why was he so bashful about it? Does that mean that he did it? And to me, there is something behind that. And that's why I do think it is a chance that this was on the advice of counsel. So instead, he stands in silence, which again, as I already mentioned, legally speaking, is in fact the same thing as pleading not guilty. And when we talk about pleading guilty or pleading not guilty, a lot of people change their plea later, right? A lot of people start out with a not guilty plea and eventually change it to a guilty plea. And that could happen in this case. But because they intentionally stood in silence instead of pleading, I don't think it's unfair to say, why? Why did they do this? And I think the main answer might be they don't want people to take it and run with it. I think another reasonable explanation, I mean, people are saying BTK did it. He took that professor. We know there's at least some sort of potential connection there. Also, maybe he's working with the state as far as a potential guilty plea, and admitting what you did is part of it. Taking responsibility is a part of guilty pleas all the time. And maybe all of this is leading to one of the other questions we got here, which is, Aaron, when will we know if it's a death penalty case? Well, the arraignment starts the trigger, which is 60 days from the arraignment the state has to file their notice of intent to seek the death penalty. So they have 60 days, and if they do seek the death penalty, that could be a bargaining chip. Or maybe they won't seek the death penalty because they're already working on a plea deal, and that's why he is standing in silence as opposed to saying not guilty. Maybe the state said it would make the victims' families feel better if you don't stand there and say not guilty. I think there's a very small chance of that being the reason why, but it's a non-zero chance. I think the main reason why is he didn't want the media or anybody to run with the way, the fashion, the speed, or the power in which he said not guilty. That would be my guess if you just want my guess.
Now, at this juncture, the state has 60 days to get a notice of intention to seek the death penalty. And
yeah, real quick, I just want to pause this. Tonight, I'm going to be doing a 5,000 celebration stream this evening, and I'm going to give back to the community. I have some small prizes, but I want to show you what the big kind of grand prize giveaway is going to be this evening. You're definitely not going to want to miss this. I see right now my chat is about as full as it's been all day. Tonight, I'm going to give away a Fire HD, brand new Fire HD Amazon tablet, so you can watch my show full in HD. But this is going to be the grand prize for this evening. You're not going to want to miss that stream. Come over and join me this evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was going to stream the second part of Peter's reaction. He did 2 streams yesterday, but it looks like he's actually going to go live at 3 p.m. today. So I don't want to take up 2 hours. I'm going to finish through this stream and then come back tonight at 8:30 p.m. and play his second part tonight. And I also have the gag order hearing that I want to play as well. But come over and join tonight. This will be the grand prize. I'm probably going to give away some Target gift cards as well for a celebration. So a brand new Amazon Fire HD 10 tablet, the most latest up-to-date one. And yeah, definitely not going to want to miss that. I want to give back to the community. So that link I actually posted a couple times in the chat. So make sure you come over 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Super Show, back live on the mothership, and we'll go through that. But let's finish this up here. A little bit more time, about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to wrap this for the day, and then I'll be back tonight. Thanks.
Mr. Kohberger has a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial. So let's start with you, Ms. Taylor, and then Mr. Thompson to discuss scheduling.
Oh, excuse me.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to set this trial at the very outside of the speedy trial, right? We're not prepared to do anything but ask the court to do that today.
Okay.
Candy.
All right. So I also heard some people asking, did she say that the judge is going to set this outside the speedy trial period? And the answer is no. She said near the outside of the speedy trial period, because as most of us can count by now, we know that that's 6 months that he has to have a speedy trial. And October puts us right at what, 5 months, a little less than 5 months, because I think they said October 2nd. So we're talking about 5 months away or less than 5 months away. If you set it there, it's still well within his speedy trial. She mentions the word speedy trial without waiving speedy trial, which I also think is important because that is a conscious decision to not waive speedy trial. And that is incredibly important because if the defendant waives speedy trial, you can't get that back. And if you waive speedy trial, that's how these cases sometimes end up happening 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And everything gets more difficult if you wait that long. So the fact that they did not waive the speedy trial, I think is important. And the fact that everybody kind of agreed to the date where they're at is also important because, and the state is about to agree to that because making it happen in October is still enough time that allows everybody to work on the case, prepare for the case, deal with discovery issues, and still prepare for trial. And we're also talking about a situation where they waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing, which allowed a couple months to go by where they could do discovery and they can learn things and get terabytes and thousands of documents because they were able to do that. Plus these 5-ish months now, that gives him a lot more time than if he was indicted by the grand jury immediately and they demanded speedy trial and they set the speedy trial within 6 months. That I think is a different ballgame. But as we sit here now, I do think there is a chance, even if it's a small chance, I do think that there is a chance that they do demand speedy trial and this trial does happen with.
Welcome, Victorine, to the moderator group. Victorine, you now have a wrench. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Victorine's in here all the time, major supporter of the channel. I appreciate you. So enjoy that moderator wrench.
Within 6 months.
Thank you.
Because the difference between this case and a lot of other cases is the period of time between when he was arrested and the preliminary hearing that was not is months that they used to gather discovery, go through it, come up with their defenses, interview witnesses and potential victims. They're going to order the grand jury transcript. So they're going to get to know what the state presented to the grand jury. And they've had all that time and still yet another 5 months. So it's a lot more than just the 6 month normal speedy trial period. So that's why I put the chances somewhere up 5 or 10% chance when I was on JB's earlier that this trial actually happens
So tired.
October 2nd of 2023, which again leaves 95% chance that I think something happens to delay the case. The defendant eventually waives his right to a speedy trial, and we have a trial somewhere down the road. But I don't think this is one that's going to stick around for 3 or 4 years. I think everybody's going to work to make this trial happen because the media continues to fight the gag orders. A lot of things are going on, a lot of public interest. The victims' families are pushing the case as well with lawyers of their own. Nobody wants us to sit around for 4, 5, 6 years with delayed justice because people say delayed justice is no justice at all. So he didn't waive speedy trial. They set the trial period right at the end of that deadline, right before we get to 6 months, which may give us just a little bit of wiggle room. If they need to continue the case 1 month, they'll be able to do that. But anything outside of that, he's going to have to waive a speedy trial. And this case will take place sometime probably in 2024. But we'll see. I thought that was interesting that they did want to kind of push it to that end of the time period.
Counted out, and that would be November.
I have not counted it out, Your Honor, but I believe that would be about November 22nd, next month's, maybe November 2nd, next month's, maybe November 2nd.
So basically the judge, and they were talking about when is the end of the speedy trial period. I just backed it up so I could hear it again. And they said about November 22nd. So again, November 22nd, as crazy as it is, I think it's right around, I don't remember. I think is that the date of the crimes?
Yeah, November.
I think I know it was November 20 something. So 6 months from now is that November 22nd date, which is the speedy trial date. That's when they have to have this trial done by. That the time period has to end. It is 60 days from the arraignment, Deborah. They have 60 days from the arraignment for the death penalty. 6 months to try the case.
So I asked the court to set it for an October trial date.
November 13th, somebody said. Yes, thank you. Yeah, November 13th for the crime. So it's just 9 days after the crimes were committed a year later.
So crazy.
My best guess is it would take at least 4 weeks, maybe 6.
All right, and that was just a quick tidbit there. So how long does the defense think this trial is going to take? And Bodie asked, why did the judge ask the defense lawyer how long she thought the trial would last when the prosecution has the burden? That's a great question. He could have asked either. And most of the time, lawyers get together and discuss how long a trial is going to take. How many witnesses do you have on the state? How many witnesses do you have on the defense, if you call any witnesses at all? And they come to an agreement about how long this is going to take. So we talked a little bit about whether or not we thought the defense maybe knew the grand jury proceeding was coming, and they maybe knew the preliminary hearing was not going to happen at a certain point, and they started working together with the state. This would indicate they have discussed how long they believe the trial is going to take with the state. And it's somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. If you ask the defense attorney and the state basically agrees, but a lot can happen in the next 6 months. So the judge isn't going to hold them to that. The reason the judge asks how long is because he has to put it on the trial docket.
I want to just add to that. I think people forget that they understand that, even though that you're in trial and you have someone that's trying to put your client away in jail, and then you have someone that's trying to defend that client, those lawyers speak and they have to come to terms and conditions, and they do a lot of communication back and forth. Now, so I think people tend to forget some of that there is still conversations going on between the prosecution and the defense, not only in the courtroom. So
if it's going to be a 6-week trial and he only says 1 week for trial, and then he's got something else on week 2, that's not going to work. If he thinks it's going to be a 4-week trial and then, November 2nd, he puts a trial that date, that's not going to work. You've got to make sure you give ample time to have this case tried within the speedy trial period, because you don't want the judge's calendar creating an issue and now violating potentially the defendant's rights to a speedy trial. So that's why the judge has to ask how long this trial is going to take. And that's probably Bodie who asked the question, why they asked the defense, because if you say you need 4 to 6 weeks, and then, when we get close to trial time, you say, I need 3 months. Well, now the defense maybe created this issue. And while they're not going to hold them to this 4 to 6 weeks, the judge asks to make sure we can get this done within the speedy trial period, which is also why he asked, when is the speedy trial period? And she said, about November 22nd. All of this stuff is really important to protect throughout the entire process of a criminal trial. And that's why the judge is asking the criminal defense attorney most of these questions.
I want to recognize Victorine sent the chat using kind of her membership highlight chat. I unfortunately can't bring them up here in StreamYard, but she's used it. She's been a month for 2 members, supporting them the monthly membership for 2 months. And she said, I'll see you all tonight. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
And you won't hear a lot of argument from the state because they know they have a duty and a burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt within the speedy trial period. That's the whole point of speedy trial.
So you'd like me to set this for a 6-week trial?
At this point, I would.
Well,
I just want to recognize this new member. I got Moko is a new member, has become a new member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Awesome. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
to do so, I will have to get rid of some of the other 3 trials I have, but this is more critical and more important. So, Mr. Thompson, what's your?
Those trial dates are workable to the state judge.
Thank you.
He knows he can't argue it's got to be after November 22nd. He wants to get this trial done too. They're probably more prepared at the defense. I don't think that's a stretch to say at this point. So he's not going to argue with that date. That works.
Thank you so much, Moko. Appreciate you. We're going to come back tonight. If anybody doesn't know, we have a stream at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5K celebration. I'm going to have some smaller prizes, but the big prize is I'm going to give away a Amazon Fire HD tablet, 10 Fire HD 10 tablet tonight. This will go home to a lucky subscriber on the channel. We're going to give this away, figure out some type of game that we can do. Probably going to do the card game because everybody kind of likes that one. But we'll give this away this evening and have a lot of fun over there. I'm going to have some smaller prizes as well too. So let's keep playing through. We're going to end up buttoning this up in about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll be back tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Super Show, Mothership.
Thank you, Heather.
Oh, excuse me.
About October 2nd, starting.
I'm so tired today.
Okay, for 6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Anything else we need to address today, Taylor?
Not with regard to this trial study.
Anything else? Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Nothing to say at this time now.
All right. So with that, by the way, I do want to
I'm so
let
tired today.
everybody know, if they don't already know this, that once the grand jury issued the indictment, preliminary hearing scheduled to start on June 26th was no longer needed and is vacated. So some people are confused about that. So I thank council and the media and the public for your attention and respect. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
So that was the end of this hearing. Raven is correct. The gag order hearing, gag order hearing was also today. The gag order hearing was not. The arguments were not done. The motions were not done. They scheduled when they were going to do that. They also scheduled when they were going to handle the motions to compel with the discovery issues. Those were both set in June. One, I believe, on June 9th, was it? Yeah, June 9th and June 27th. June 9th is the gag order arguments. June 27th is the motion to compel arguments. A lot more on that tonight. We're going to watch that hearing together and break down what we learned from the judge and which way he's tipping his hand.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going to play that segment, just the segment itself. But what I'll do tonight on this is I'll bring Peter up and have him kind of walk us through this so we understand what's going on in that gag order hearing as well. So
8:45 p.m. tonight, we're doing 2 lives on this because I want to answer questions.
now I'll give Peter a plug. Peter today will be going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking more of Kohberger down. So when you get done with me, if you want to go over and watch his content, we'd love to kind of send the traffic over there as well. And again, Peter, if you're watching these replays, I hope you don't mind that we're doing them here on this channel. We'd love to have you over here sometime. I know my chat room would go bananas if you got on the panel with me for 10 or 20 minutes. I think it'd be a really fun time. But yeah, if you're watching this, I really hope you don't mind that we do these replays and reacts, kind of break down what you're saying, because we here on Opinionated Idiot look at you as a very valuable part to this community, this true crime community, and being a lawyer, being actually a legal lawyer that can break down and give us some insight to what's going on during these motions and hearings and breaking down these legal documents for us. So thank you. Thank you again for your service. I know you double dip just like I do. I have my normal career and then I come in and try to do YouTube as well. So anytime, my platform is open to you. I've actually emailed you a couple times, haven't heard anything back, but I know you're probably a busy guy and you get a million emails. But anyway, if you see this, I hope you don't mind. We do these.
Specifically that you have around arraignment and this process and where we go from here. So Mehdi,
my brain slipped on that one.
Isn't killed and murdered the same thing? Why does he have to name both things when naming the charge? So there can be lawful killings, but murder is the unlawful killing. So that's why a lot of times they're not used synonymously. John, will this judge also be the trial judge? There's a good chance of that, yes, but things can happen. I don't know if he's going to retire. I don't know if they're going to rotate judges. I don't know if he's going to, get taken off the.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm a small time channel, but hey, listen, you got to keep beating that drum. You got to keep beating that drum, getting yourself put out there. Look, I did it. I, haven't been on Twitter long, and I had Kerry Rawson now following me on Twitter. I mean, and she added me, if you didn't see, she added me to her playlist of podcasts and YouTube channels that she watches. So again, you just got to keep putting yourself out there. Maybe you create enough noise in this environment to get someone to get their eyes on you. And, and that's the thing. You just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Be consistent. Ask these people to come on your show. Someone will hear you at some point, believe me. And maybe they're nice enough to come over and just give you 10 minutes of their time. But again, it's just consistency. And you know what? It may never happen, but that's okay. At least I tried. I was just actually talking to a girl today. I went to the post office before I went live, and we were talking, and I walked in, and I know I've been kind of throwing around about changing my channel name. And I walked in, and this was kind of a sign. I walked in and she goes, "Hi." And she goes, "I don't remember your name, but I remember the name of your channel." And I went, okay, I guess we're probably not going to change the channel name. But, we were talking about just doing things in life. And she said, oh, she was asking me, how's it going? And I said, well, I just hit 5,000 subscribers. She said, oh my God, I know a couple of, about 2 months ago, you were only saying you were at like 2,000 and you were just getting this off the ground. And I'm like, yeah, it's starting to get some traction now. And, we have a good time. We have good relevant information out there. And I said to her, I always laugh at this quote that's always stuck with me through my childhood. And you wouldn't even believe me. The wrestler, the Ultimate Warrior said this, and he kept consistently saying this. And this always stuck with me is, just because you're born, you have the potential. And that's with anybody in this chat. This is with anybody that has ever been born in this world, is that you need to just keep going for it and just keep doing it. If it's a passion and a love, put every ounce of energy into it. And if you put good things in, good things will happen back. So That's it. I mean, all you can do is just try and ask. And what's the worst? If it doesn't happen, then you keep going on. And then maybe some down the road, your lives and your energy cross paths and something happens. So never give up on your dreams. Everybody has the potential to do something great in life, no matter how big or small it is. If you can affect one person or a million people, that's all that matters in this world. And do it with good intentions. Don't be a shithead. You know, don't be like these trolls that come in and go, because that person is sad that they're not doing good things in their life. And they try to come along and cut you down because they're angry at themselves that they've never done or achieved the level of success that you've done in your life. And that's why these people come around. So we don't acknowledge them. We move on. And, you know, any passion that you have, you can do anything with. You can do anything with. There's a niche, there's a crowd for it out there. So try. That's it. All you can do is try. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, all I can say is I met some fantastic people because of this platform. And, you know, my channel really is only like, I say like 90 days old with this level of success, but I've met some fantastic people on this journey so far. And I have met some really good friends, and I'm getting close to some people, you know, we chat regularly and we have daily chats. And look, you know, if it doesn't pan out, then I say, look, I met some great people. And that was just a section or time in my life, you know, and you all spending this time with me. I think it's just great. You know, it's fun. It's a good time. All right, let's finish this up. Enough of my soapboxing like I always do, but I try to give good advice, what I think is good advice. And we have the abilities. Use this thing up there that's been put in between this hard skull. Listen, I'm not a college scholar. I barely graduated high school, but if I can come on and grab some attention and do something good with it, that's what I want to do. So let's keep playing.
Case because there's some kind of bias and he gets disqualified. So all that could happen. But as it sits right now, the way it's set up is, yes, this would be the judge that also sits there for trial. He's the district court judge. Azam, Peter, arraignment and preliminary are the processes that take place before trial, right? What is the difference between them? Thanks. So the preliminary hearing is kind of like a mini trial where they would have shown all the evidence they have against Bryan Kohberger, why he probably committed this crime and that a crime was probably committed, you know, proving probable cause is what they would have to do at the preliminary hearing. That's gone now because the grand jury indicted him. But regardless, the arraignment is when he has read the charges that are coming against him that the grand jury indicted him for. This is where he's explained what his rights are throughout this process. And
you can do it. You can do it, Tracy. I'm going to tell you the best advice on YouTube is start your channel and then post one video and then post another video and then post another video and then post another video. And you will learn. You will learn through your process of doing this. I didn't learn this overnight. Believe me. You just got to figure it out. And we have amazing tools at our fingertips. You have Google, you have YouTube. You can go on YouTube and find out anything. And you know what I'll do tonight? I'm going to do this for you guys tonight. I will show you the first video I ever posted on this channel. I'll reveal that tonight. And you can see where I was to where this has progressed. And believe me, it's taken a long time to do it. But you can do it. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. I know this all sounds like cheesy advice, but believe me, you can do it. You can do it. Post a video if that's what you want, if that's your passion. Post your video and then watch it and learn from it and then move on. Don't worry about it anymore. Move on. Believe me, I have stinkers of shows. I have some shows that are terrible, but I don't dwell on it. I don't rewatch any of my content. I just go back. Sometimes I might rewatch something because I might have a good laugh about something or something that I wanted to critique. Some things that I'm trying to not do as much, you know, the ahs and the ums, trying to pull away from that, correct myself on that and get better at being a public speaker. But you can do it. Believe me, you can do it. You have the potential. You've been born.
Please explain what the possible punishments are. That's what we just watched together. The arraignment is kind of the chance for him to know and understand what's happening. Pooh Bear, hey, Peter, do the families have any influence on the state pursuing the death penalty. So most of the time, the state will talk to the victims' families and they will get their input. Do you want the death penalty? Do you not? Why? What types of things would make you feel okay if you didn't? Would you rather guarantee a conviction for life or take the chance and go for the death penalty? Law RN also asks a similar question. Does each family need to agree to death penalty, to take the death penalty off the table to offer a plea deal? So the answer to that is no. So they will get the inputs from the families, and they want the families to all be on the same page, and they want the families to all agree. But at the end of the day, it is ultimately up to the state as to whether or not they seek to, or they intend to seek the death penalty in this case. They have to figure out if they think they can prove it. They have to balance what it's going to be like throughout the process, like in Lori Vallow's case and even Murdoch's case. They took it off the table. The judge did in one case and the state did in the other, because the process is a lot more laborious, a lot more difficult. It can create other challenges. So ultimately, it is up to the state. Bianca, question: if standing silent and pleading not guilty is effectively the same, why does standing silent exist? Again, because the defendant has a right to remain silent, and saying not guilty is potentially an admission, or is, I should say, is a statement that can potentially be used against him in the future. So we do allow in our country defendants to stand silent and not say anything that can be potentially held against them. And it effectively is a not guilty plea. Terry, huge if, standing silent was because he may plead guilty down the line. Why all the seeking of the state's evidence from the defense attorneys? Because they're doing their due diligence. They're zealously defending.
That's a great question, by the way. I like that question. And I'm glad that he's clarifying this. You know, this is what might happen. You know, we might get halfway into this trial and he turns his lawyer and says, this is not, and again, I made it very clear. He is innocent until proven guilty. But as this evidence starts to compile in the compile of evidence, and let's say it's very strong against him in trial, he may reach out. And we've seen this in certain cases where, you know, they reach out and say, can we just strike a deal? And that saves him from the death penalty. I think that might be the tactic here. I think that may be the tactic. And again, I'm saying that he's innocent until proven guilty, but it is a strong tactic. And I think that Peter actually talked about this in the beginning of the video as well. I may be wrong, but that was my kind of thought process. Is we get in this, the evidence starts coming out. Let's say it's very strong against him. It's looking like there's going to be no way about it. There's fucking DNA all over the car. There's DNA all over his clothes. There's DNA all over his apartment, whatever it be. And it nails him down to actually being there. And they have some maybe clear video of him walking out the house that night, and you can clearly see it's him. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing scenarios out there. You get to a certain point, and he says, hey, you know, Ann Taylor, let's see if we can get a plea here. This might save me from the death penalty. I just go to, you know, away for the rest of my life, or I only get 40, 50 years or whatever. Again, I'm not a legal expert on this, but this is kind of my feeling on all of this. So let's keep playing through. We're going to button this up, and then I'll be back this evening at 8:30 p.m. Super show this evening, 5K celebration. I'm going to be giving away a Fire HD tablet, brand new in the box, so you can watch my show live on HD. Take it to work, take it to school, whatever you need to do with it. I want to give one of these away to one lucky subscriber and member here on the channel, and I'm going to probably do some Target gift cards or something like that to give out some small prizes as well. So let's keep playing this up. We'll button this up and then be back tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Their client, they are protecting his rights, and we don't know that that's the case. But many times, even if a client is going to plead guilty eventually, they want to know what evidence the state has, because as horrible as this may sound, it does happen sometimes where the defendant thinks, after seeing all the state's evidence, there's no way they can prove this case, so I'm not going to plead guilty anymore. Sometimes that does happen. Jacob, I think this will be a death penalty case, as Miss Taylor, the public defender, has brought in a second lawyer to help with his defense. I agree. I think the state will seek the death penalty in this case. It may be used as a bargaining chip in plea negotiations, or it may just be what they're seeking. I definitely would be surprised if they just said, no, we're not going to seek the death penalty in this case.
Can one of my mods repost the celebration stream link? I just don't have time to click and do it. I want to try to move through.
Do you take cases in West Virginia? And if so, how do we contact you? So email me at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. Tragoslaw.com is our firm website. We handle certain cases there, like car accident, wrongful death cases, but not every kind of case. SW 4x4 Explorers. If BK had an alibi, would that be known? Also, would it be known if he worked alone? I don't know if you mean, I don't know how we would know if he worked alone at this point, but if he does have an alibi, he has to let the state know that he intends to produce an alibi as his defense.
Huh.
And if he has any witnesses as to what his alibi is, the state would have the opportunity to depose those people, know who those people are, and understand that that's the defense he's going to be bringing.
Wow, that's good. Good.
J-Dubs. Could standing silent be strategic because the defense doesn't have the evidence the prosecution has? I mean, it could be strategic for a number of reasons, but I think at the end of the day, it is a not guilty plea. So right now, he is not admitting that he did this. He is not pleading guilty,
Right.
and that's basically all we know. We don't know the motive for standing silent from his team or from Bryan Kohberger at this point. We don't know if it was the advice of counsel or if Kohberger himself refused to say that. We just don't know a whole lot more than what we're watching. Pepper, did they mention the deadline for discovery to be turned over to the defense? I don't think so, because the state and the defense are still going to be arguing about that on June 27th. Tori, late night lives are back. Yes. At least tonight they are. Azam. So the arraignment still happens, whether it's prelim or grand jury. Do I understand this correctly? Yes. You still have to be arraigned on the charges.
So, Harlot's asking about, it'd be interesting to allow the victim's family to be one of the take a shot. I don't think that's an option. I read things about firing squads before. It's very anonymous. It's very, they hide the names very well of the person. And another thing that's very interesting as well too is when you're part of a firing squad, I don't know how many people it is in Idaho, but if they do this, all guns are loaded. There are all of them will fire. So you'll hear the hammer hit the bullet. You'll hear a noise, but you don't know what actual person has the bullet. So you will never know. It's very interesting. And I could do a little bit more research on fire squads, but that's kind of what I know of it. But yeah, I don't think that's an option. They do keep those names very secret. Very, very secret.
He still would have had the charges explained to him that this is what the judge found probable cause on. Here are the charges. Here are the potential punishments, the maximum, the minimum punishments for these charges. Here is what you're looking at, and here are your rights. That still would have happened even with the preliminary hearing. April Diaz, just wishing you a great afternoon. Thank you, April. And I want to take a second because tonight we're going to do more Kohberger. Thursday is going to be an incredibly fun members only live that is going to be different than anything we've ever done. John is still working on it now. We've already filmed part of it. I'm incredibly excited. I think it's going to be fun. It's not law related. So none of the subscribers that are here for legal breakdowns or explanations or education, none of that. You're not going to miss any of that. So don't worry about it. But if you want to come hang out, it is going to be fun.
All live?
Lexus,
Really?
thank you for the super sticker.
One live, all blanks. I may be wrong.
So the preliminary hearing is a great process in the criminal justice system because it explains the rights to the criminal.
All right, let's do this real quick. I just did a quick Google. Let's see. Let me increase this. How does a firing squad work? Well, a firing squad, 5 or more soldiers line up side by side, several feet away, and one aims their firearm directly at the person's heart. Wow. Upon hearing a cue called out by the senior officer, all of the shooters fire simultaneously. In most cases, the prisoner will be blindfolded when they are placed before the firing squad. I'll do a little bit more. Let's see. Does it survive? Contrary to the assertion that the firing squad traditionally have only one rifle with a live round and all the rest are blanks, firing squads have all weapons but one loaded with a live round. Wow, you were right, AZ. None would risk that only one shooter with a live round might miss or only would be the condemned. Wow, I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. But good stuff. All right, let's finish this out, and then we're gonna come back tonight and do the live show.
Defendant. We want them to go into this with open eyes. And this is where competence is really important. We see it in a lot of cases. We see it sometimes where we think the criminal defendant might be faking competency issues. But this is why competence is important. If you're competent to understand what's going on, we're going to explain to you throughout the process what your rights are and try to protect them. I mean, that is something we've seen, whether it's Daryl Brooks or Alec Murdoch, or this case, or Lori Vallow. The criminal defendant's rights should and will be protected throughout the process, or else there will be a remedy in the law, like an appeal or tossing the charges altogether. So that is going to be incredibly important in every case. So I'm glad we got to watch it together here. And tonight on the stream at 8:45, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, take a second, subscribe, and hit that reminder bell, because tonight we are going to dive in. We're going to listen to the scheduling conference, and it's not just a, hey, what date do you want to do this? Okay, good. There is a lot more of it in that hearing. And I've got a lot of thoughts on exactly how it went and how the judge is feeling throughout this process, who's pushing for what, and where the judge is leaning. And the judge gives a little insight into how he feels about the Supreme Court's ruling and their opinion that they gave regarding the gag order. M. renewed. Would you have done the same course of action to be silent if this is your client? It's impossible for me to answer because I don't know what Bryan Kohberger is saying. But if he told me he didn't do it and we're fighting to prove his innocence, I probably would have advised him to say, I am not guilty. Barbara, that doesn't mean he would have done it, right? Because lawyers can give their advice. What time on Thursday is the members only? I need to put it in my schedule so I don't miss it. We haven't planned that yet. My schedule is crazy. For anybody that doesn't know, still a full practicing lawyer, always will be. Love it too much. A trial lawyer. Most of what I do is civil trials. I've done a lot of criminal trials as well. So scheduling is sometimes difficult, like it was today. Joe, a year. Here's to the next year learning from you. Joe, a valued member. So pumped you're with us a year later. Midwest Girl, why such an early trial? Will there be motions pushed out further? So in
I just want to address this. I'm far from pro-life, but I have my political views on all of that, but I'm not going to get into all that stuff on this stream because I try to stay clear of politics because it kind of riles up the room. But I would say in this case that the death penalty is absolutely warranted due to the vicious nature of this crime. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice or whatever you are, I still feel that it's very strong in this case. Not saying that Bryan Kohberger is guilty of this, but I think that the person that's responsible for this, and we will find out in this trial if Bryan's innocent or guilty, but I think it's very much warranted. I mean, 4 lives were taken innocently, and that's just my opinion. So, I mean, you don't have to agree with me. I respect that, but that's how I feel. But thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Idaho, it's 6 months from the arraignment that you have to have the trial within the defendant's speedy trial rights. That would be around November 22nd. And so they picked October because it was near the end of the speedy trial period, but not the very end. So it gives them a little wiggle room if they need a short continuance to still get it done. Ellen, shout out to Nicole, Azam, and Sunshine for the memberships. Yes, I see just memberships being gifted left and right. And you're going to be thankful this time because it's going to be funny. You're going to get a chance to laugh at me, see me in a different environment, maybe a little more unfiltered, hopefully not too embarrassing or obnoxious, but probably for some of you. So get ready. Brenda, welcome to the crew, and Nancy A. All right, a couple other things because people ask, okay? And that's why I'm saving this till the end. You can sign off if you want. We're done talking and breaking down the arraignment. But
I'll be honest, I'm far from a liberal person. I think I'm fiscally conservative, and I lean lean left in some issues, but I am far from a liberal person. But I think in this case, definitely in this case, is it's warranted, the death penalty. Absolutely. I mean, these kids didn't deserve this. All right, let's keep playing through. Peter's got a couple more minutes. I got a couple more minutes. We'll wrap this up. But I appreciate everybody,
WFLA now today.
Everybody for giving their opinion here. I'm very open about it. I think you all know I don't lean left at all. I would say I'm probably center right, if anything. And I lean left on some social issues too. So I'm kind of a modge podge, I guess. I personally don't care what people do in their lives. They can go be who they want to be who they want to be. you know, all that stuff, it doesn't bother me. But on some issues, you know, I have some ways that our government is ran. I have some issues with, but I'm gonna get into politics. That usually riles people up in the stream, so we'll leave that. We'll let that one.
Day. So if you want to check that out, please do.
We'll
And let them know in the comments that you came from here. And then number 2, I'm going to go on Megyn Kelly to talk about this Kohberger case on
100%.
Wednesday. If you happen to watch
100%.
that, shout it out in the comments. You guys are the best. I have just such a great time talking about this stuff with you guys and this community and people who want to take things too far and not try to be objective and not try to weigh the process and understand the process, I think make it more difficult. And I don't think the judge is going to like that in this case. So I really appreciate that this community and the people that talk about this case here with me on these lives and through these comments, I really appreciate you. And I think that if EDB is on Court TV tonight, check that out as well, please. But if we can continue to do that, and that becomes more of the norm, how the public discusses these cases, I think we will have more access, and I think there will be less restrictive gag orders. That's just a little prelude to what we're going to be talking about tonight.
All right, I'm going to bounce out of this video. I don't think there's really too much more content that Peter's going to do. But listen, I want to thank everybody for hanging out this afternoon. I know I've been doing a lot of these lunchtime streams when I can get the chance to do that. It's kind of a double dip Tuesday here. So we'll be back this evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to give away a Fire HD Amazon tablet for some lucky subscriber or member. And we'll figure out a way to give this away. I'll probably do the card game because I like that. Going to have some other small gifts that I give away, maybe some Target gift cards, stuff like that. I do have some business that I need to take care of this afternoon, get prepared, maybe rest a little bit before tonight's stream. I'm going to try to stream as long as I can. We'll go through some more Kohberger content this evening, more Idaho content. And maybe I'll open up this phone lines tonight, or maybe I'll drop the link and let some people come on live and chat a little bit. We'll figure something out. We'll have some fun with it. And again, Peter Tragos is going to be live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you all are around, you want to watch him, go over and support his channel. I'm sure you all do. Let me go over and find the link to his channel, but I'm sure I don't have to do that because you all are there. Again, Peter, if you're watching, 1 second. Peter, if you're watching my streams, you know that we do these reaction videos here on the channel. Love to have you come over sometime if you can. Just give me 5 or 10 minutes of your time. It'd be great. The chat would absolutely love to see you guys over here. They would go nuts if I got you on my panel. But again, you all are great. I'll drop the link one more time to tonight's stream, 5K celebration stream. Going to give away a Fire HD tablet. You're not going to want to miss that. And that is the link for tonight. Set your reminders. Thank you all. I love all you ladies and germs. You're all great. All the new members, thank you so much. Thanks for any super chats that came through today. I appreciate it. You're not going to want to miss the stream tonight. We'll get something. We'll do some celebration, hang out, relax a little bit, and have a good 5K celebration. So I hope everybody has an amazing rest of their afternoon. Hopefully I can see everybody this evening, tonight, and we'll have some fun. Thank you. Give us some thumbs up on the way out. Subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you all tonight. Let me hit my outro. We're out of here, off the mothership for now, but we'll be back tonight on the mothership at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night, goodbye, good luck, good afternoon, whatever you do. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here and supporting. Bye.